This wartime story can teach us a priceless lesson that will enable us to see when we've fallen for a trap that will just cause endless problems for us. When commanders at war haven't learned this lesson, it costs the lives of thousands of people. And similarly, when anyone working on any kind of a project hasn't learned this lesson, the result will be cost blowouts and continual timeline delays. Let me share with you the origins of the problem. We all have an unconscious, insatiable desire to justify that the things we did in the past were both right and meaningful. Actually, the more negative the consequence of our past action was, the more determined we'll be to justify that it was a meaningful thing, which is why this problem is so dangerous. Let me share with you the 5 phases of how we fall into this trap. The first thing that happens is a problem occurs. Secondly, we react to it. Usually this reaction is a little bit underthought and possibly a little bit out of anger. Then the outcome of our own reaction is seen to be as unacceptable or intolerable. Then something strange happens. We become determined to justify that we took the right action even though the outcomes of that action was unacceptable. Once we've done that, we continually have endless problems. This is much easier to understand and relate to with this following wartime story. So let's go back to World War I. Italy is peacefully minding its own business when all of a sudden a problem occurs. Austro-Hungary comes in and takes over 2 of the provinces in the north. Austro-Hungary hadn't declared war on Italy. They didn't fight to get those territories. They simply just moved in and took them. And they only took them to support their war efforts that were going on elsewhere. They had no beef with Italy. Nonetheless, Italy found this unacceptable and reacted. So the politicians and the people came together and they cried, "Long live Italy," and they decided to get their army together and charge forward into war. They expected it to be easy to regain these little provinces, and on the first day of battle they sent their troops in and they lost 15,000 men. No matter, they'll try again, and in their following battle they lost 40,000, and in their third battle they lost 60,000, all within 1 week. So now here's the problem. We've lost 115,000 men and we have nothing to show for it. So in order to honor all those lost men, we have to say that they did not die in vain. We will continue to push forward and we're going to regain those lost territories. It became the most meaningful thing for Italians and Italian people to push forward in this war effort and get their territories. You might see where this story is going. Over the next year and a little bit, they try another 9 times and they lose another 600,000 people. The problem's so big because the more resources they throw at it, in this case human lives, they still get no desirable outcome. The reason we find it so hard to come out of this trap once we've fallen into it is it's very difficult to admit that we've done the wrong thing. And the only way to get out of the trap is to first notice that we're in it. It's difficult to notice at the start because stage 1 and stage 2 move so quickly, but we start to get warning signs at stage 3. That warning sign is that the outcomes to our own actions are intolerable. Once we see that warning sign, we need to change our tack. The reason it was so difficult for Italy to change their tack is in order to allow themselves to do that, they'd have to admit that what they had previously done was wrong. They'd have to admit that through their own careless error and through their own zeal, they lost the lives of 115,000 people. And apologizing to the families of 115,000 people is an incredibly difficult thing to do. Sometimes when we stuff up in our projects, it can feel almost this dramatic. The good news about this problem is it's something we can practice mastering in our personal lives on just small things that we do. I bet you can think of a time, or perhaps there's even a time now, where you bought something and then shortly after buying it started to feel really ripped off, and as a result you hated using that item, but you kept using it just because you really wanted to get your money's worth. This is actually the exact same issue, just scaled way down to a little object. And when it's a little object like this, the solution can be quite easy. Maybe just throw the object away or get rid of it. It's much more complicated when lots of people are involved. In any case, with the object, there's an even better solution than getting rid of it, and that is to realize that the only reason you hate using the object is because you continually remind yourself that you got ripped off when you bought it. If you could simply stop reminding yourself about this, you would be able to change the way that you look at the object and the way that you use it. I'd love to hear your opinions of this video, so please do leave a comment below. My name is Joseph Andrew. Thanks so much for watching. Let's shift forward together.